welcome everyone. I am Glenda Dawson, and I have Moongirl with me, my co-host, and we are the Paranormal Dolls. We'd like to thank you for continuing to follow us and sending us emails and messages. And we look forward to seeing you in other events, other um, little events that we're coming to at this very moment planning together. So,
Mm.
yeah, right? We have today a very amazing couple, Dee Garcia and Chris Moon. Welcome. How are you
Hi.
guys?
Call them
Hi.
the moons.
The Moons, yes.
And we've actually had like an event together, and it was really cute because it was Moongirl and the Moons. It was. I felt like we were in a movie.
That was fun.
Moongirl and the Moons, that's right.
There you go.
Start up a band or a paranormal investigation team.
Right?
I like that.
Well, you're both in the same state, so you should be able to do that.
I know we're like vecinos basically, and I had no idea when we first met like a long time ago. I was like, "Really, you're different? Like, no one's from where I'm from." What an
Yeah, we kind of felt the same way too. We're like, wait, where are you from? You're only 20 minutes from us? Oh my God.
Yeah, I felt the same way because back, like in 2017, when I used to also do a paranormal podcast, and I would have guests and stuff. I used to always say, "Okay, I'm coming to you live from South Texas," and everyone would be like, "Okay, where?" Be like Brownsville. Okay, where's that? And so I'm like, nobody's from where I'm from. And then I brought this guy down here, and then Sarah's from South Texas. I'm like, yeah.
There you go.
It all worked out.
Very good.
We have a phrase. I can't say it because we will be censored, but there's a phrase. Puro bing 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 956.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes, we do.
at the end.
Yeah.
There's not
There's a song.
there's not a time that we're like at a club or something on a Saturday that song has to be the number one song every single time. Comes on down here, it's like the anthem.
Yeah.
It is the anthem. I have to show it to you, Glenda. You're gonna see why we can't air it or say the word.
It's a lot of
I
curse
think I've
words.
heard it, but show it to me again anyway, just to make sure. So tell us about you guys.
Well, there's so much to say. I guess I'll let you go first.
There's so much to say about me.
Where do we start?
We could just have enough drama with the last few months basically, but yeah, we go way back before that. So.
Yeah. Let's see. We'll start with you. You're the big Mr. Big Deal, Mr. Moon.
Well, I've been I guess kind of like my bio. I've been investigating in one way or another since I was 7 years old. A lot of people hear that and they say, come on, 7 years. It's true. I literally had my first experience when I was 7, and I had a very devout Catholic father that I literally had to prove to him that these things were happening because he thought I was just crazy. And, he was a skeptic for a lot of years, but now he actually runs the Capitol Hill Ghost Tour in Denver. So he's come around a little bit. So, yeah, you see how that works. But I'm probably the things I'm most well known for in the paranormal. Originally, and it doesn't get talked about anymore. I was the first guy who started interviewing spirits, the modern EVP that you see that happens right now. I went out there with my recording devices. I'm talking about reel to reel. I'm talking about tape recorders, all those different kinds of things, and eventually voice recorders. And I started talking to spirits, and I'd literally have conversations. And I would leave 10 seconds of space so they can imprint their voice, and then so on and so forth. And when I started doing that, everybody said, "You're crazy, you're nuts, it's not going to work, that just doesn't make sense." And lo and behold, if you watch a TV show today, I think everybody's doing some form of that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then, so I'm always the crazy guy. I was in bands for years. I toured in rock bands, and I would investigate when I toured. And when I retired, I opened up Ghost Hunter magazine, which was an online magazine. And that came out about 4 months before the TV show Ghost Hunters came out. So that was kind of a nice tie-in. And then eventually I opened up Haunted Times magazine, which was a print magazine. And that I actually opened with my father, and that had a great run. And then I guess I'm most well known for my Ghost Hunter Universities, which was the first public paranormal investigation event that was out there. And then, of course, the Ghost Box, Frank's Box. I was the very first person to ever do that, and I wrote a book about it. And
You have a book in here?
Probably not. It's like,
You brought the book, so you could have been like,
I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in our reading room, but yeah. So I'm well known for that, and now we own a metaphysical / paranormal store in Brownsville, Texas. So,
which I love. It's beautiful. It's really, really, really cute and very spacious. I went on their opening, and they offer a lot of awesome services. You guys want to talk about that really quick? About
First, what's the name?
It's Magic Moon Metaphysical with a CK. Magic.
Yeah,
with a
magic
CK.
with a CK. Magic Moon Metaphysical.
of course, you have to throw the moon in there.
Yeah, and it's probably one of the very few, I think, metaphysical / paranormal locations that are out there. We're working on becoming a healing center more than anything else, and giving people resource and ability to come and learn in a safe space where they don't feel like they're being judged and feel like their experiences make them crazy and things like that. So we carry all kinds of different crystals. D hand wires a lot of jewelry. Hand wire wrapped a lot of jewelry, and we have paranormal equipment. We have cards. We have books. We're really proud of the space.
Yeah, it's a great location, and it was we put it together quickly, but it was a lot of work too. And you could tell, like, when you come in, there's everything that we offer in here. It's everything that we love, and it's funny because if somebody would have told us back in 2017 that we were going to have a metaphysical store, a spiritual store, a paranormal, like everything all in one, I would be like, nah, that's not going to happen. No way.
It's true, because we had a really successful online crystal and jewelry business, and unfortunately we lost all of that in a fire we had back December 19th. A house fire, / business fire. And we lost all of our merchandise. We lost cars. We lost 3 of our cats. So it was really a devastating, blow to what we had going on. But the community and the paranormal community and everybody really picked us up and helped us get settled and get everything, back on track. So that's really helped us out.
Want to show your book?
You offer a lot of really great readings too. You want to tell them about your readings that you give people?
The book.
We have one of our employees bringing the book.
Yeah.
So, we offer readings. We offer, we actually do readings I do readings with the Ghost Box.
Here's one of his boxes.
So it gives people the ability to actually communicate with their loved ones in their own voice.
Right.
So we offer the Ghost Box readings, tarot cards, oracle cards,
chakra balancing.
I do a lot of, I offer services. If anybody needs healing, I can do healing sessions on them. And I've been doing that for a very long time already. Healing sessions, cord cuttings, sound baths, things like that, cleansing with sound. And so it really, what turned into what we first needed an office space. And then it just started to evolve and grow. And it turned into this like a healing center, really is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it was healing for us because it was like, Phoenix rising from the ashes kind of thing, because when you lose everything, it's just, you can't even put it into words. You just, you hear about it and you're like, oh, that's too bad. I feel bad for those people. But you don't realize the devastation that goes along with it. And the firefighters told us that if we hadn't been awake for some bizarre reason, we wouldn't be here, that the whole family would have gone. And we had our 2 nephews as well, and all of our animals.
And my kids were there, both my children and all of our pets, and everyone made it out except for 3 of our babies. It's still devastating to me. I still, when I think about it, I can't, it hurts. It's heartache because when you have pets, they're your babies,
They are your babies.
And but I do firmly believe that, I was getting a lot of messages after that happened. Like I would see a poem here, a poem there, a video here, a video there. And it was always about like how your pets feel when they leave you on this physical plane. And I felt like I was meant to see those, and they were very healing. And there would be things like, don't cry for me. I know you love me, things like that. And then there was one, because when it first happened, my son and I were like, I don't want to replace them. Especially he had his cat for 5 years, and I had just I had about a year with her name was Kenya, the one that would sleep with me, and my son's cat was Sunny. and then we had little Walter.
Okay.
And it was such a devastating blow. I never, and I'm still not over it, but I guess, healing takes time. And there was this one video that I saw, and I know I was meant to see it, and their little soul sent it to me, and it said something like, I'm not going to quote it verbatim, but what it was about was, when humans die, they leave a living will, and they leave things to people. And then the video says, if with my paws I could do the same, it says, I would leave to the stray cat, I would leave my loving home, my loving bed, the hand that pet me, and then at the end it says, so don't ever say I would never have another pet again, because this is all I have to give. Oh my God, I was just the waterworks. I'm trying not to cry right now, but it's crazy because then.
Yeah, then we were actually sent cats, and it just, the way that happens, the universe somehow gives you cats, and we were given 3 great little kitties that are now with us. But to finish my thought with that, along with that, we were given or not given, but we got into a new home within a couple of weeks that was fully furnished, less rent than we had before, and the community really came together. The paranormal community, the Brownsville came together, everybody just to help us get back on our feet with food and clothes and all those kinds of things. And then, that's why this really became a healing center for us, because when we opened the doors, we realized it's not just healing the people who come in here, it's also healing us. The more people that we can help, the more people that we can inspire, that's really what it's all about.
Especially because I honestly felt that with the work that we've been doing before then, which is, helping people, helping them heal from depression, doing healing sessions with them, counseling, all of that, it's like they say, you get back what you put out into the world, right? Mm-hmm. And for a slight minute, I don't think we ever felt like, wow, why did we would look at each other and be like, okay, I don't understand this, but soon something's going to come out of it. And I remember we were sitting, all I wanted to do was crawl into a corner and just bawl for weeks, and just after that happened. But we were sitting at the hotel that after the fire, and we kind of looked at each other, and we both at the same time, we were like, we're both Aries, by the way, so that we looked at each other and we were kind of like, what are we doing? This isn't us. Let's get off our ass and go do something. Let's get out of the situation.
Yeah, once we committed ourselves to that, everything just flew.
Within days, we found the house. It was crazy. And then I just kept saying, this is all about manifestation. I'm grateful. This is, applying gratitude, saying thank you. I understand. I need to keep doing my work so I can continue being blessed. And it's one of those hard lessons, but it's, you don't understand your current situation until later. And I feel like this location, this healing center would have never been born without the fire.
Exactly. Yes. That is, I understand where you're coming from. In 2011, I went through a hurricane in New Jersey, and I lost everything. It was one of those big hurricanes, and Irene. So
I know that hurricane you're speaking of. I was actually I was scheduled to speak at Brookdale College in 2011, and that's one of the first colleges that I had to cancel because of the weather. It was so bad out there, and there were people's boats and people's yards and things. It was really bad. I remember that.
Yes. So it was to the point where we came back and we realized there was 6 feet of water inside the house. So I understand completely. And yet, had that not happened, I wouldn't have moved to Pennsylvania. I wouldn't have started my own center. I wouldn't been able to get my children the schooling that they wanted and everything. So everything turns out for a reason. We go through hard lessons, but
absolutely,
it's like just redirecting. And once we pick up and we realize it's time to move, everything just works out.
Sometimes the universe has to push you because you're meant for so much more. You're meant for something else. You're needed in a broader spectrum, in a different way. And so the universe is like, get out there. We were so comfortable in that house and having the business out of the home, and just, we're even traveling less now. And I mean, still traveling, but we were so comfortable. And I think the universe is like, I need you out there.
and I do see how it kind of turns out, because we did turn down some opportunities and things like that just because we didn't want to. We just felt so comfortable staying where we were.
Yeah,
exactly.
We're pushing us out of our comfort zone so we can expand and grow, because otherwise we wouldn't move. Really.
It's true. It's
It's a
true.
habit, so I don't want to. And then that tower moment comes. They're like, you better get up and do, because we can't be stuck here anymore.
Exactly, and that's what it was. It was like a tower moment, but and like in talking about tarot cards and that card specifically, the tower. A lot of times when I'm doing readings, it either sometimes people have just gone through the tower moment or they're going to, and a lot of times people get nervous. I'm like, it's actually, I don't mean to say this way, but it's actually not a bad card.
Right.
No, it's not.
It's
I
not.
agree. It's not.
It's proof that you're going to change, you're going to grow. It's transformation. It's letting go of things that you were holding on to that you didn't need. You're different now. You need to go somewhere. You're going to rebuild. It's a new adventure, and you have to. People need to understand that the tower card just means something different's coming. You're gonna let go. It's gonna be better off. Some people. I used to fear the card. I used to be one of those that used to be like, oh my god, the tower, everything is gonna fall. Like, no.
Well, and it's interesting too. On a side note to that, a lot of people talk about whatever. All we do is just it's fake and false and blah 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 blah. But I'll tell you something. The nights leading up to the fire that we had a gigantic black moth that kept at nighttime landing on the porch, making sure it was flapping its wings so loud that I would see it. And once I would see it, it would fly off. And that happened for repeated nights. And then one night I was on the front porch with our outside cat, and I heard an owl fly off of our roof. And I actually watched as the owl screeched and went across the street. And I went back inside and told her, I said, I heard the owl. And she went, oh.
I told him, because like in our culture, the Mexican culture, when you hear the owl, especially when you hear it screech, it's telling you something's coming.
Right.
It's not death, something's coming. Well, it was death. We lost 3 kitties, and it was right at the house. And that owl made sure that Chris heard. And it's usually a warning, like, hey, be careful. You got to get out. And I always, I looked at him and said, you heard it screech? And he was like, yeah, 3 times. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, we have to be vigilant. I was thinking, let me call my mom. And then this is where your psychic, it starts to get clouded because emotions come in. I stopped operating from the higher self. I moved into the ego. I got worried. I started calling my mom, started calling my sister. I'm like, I can't tune in. And I blocked myself. Had I just continued operating from the higher self and not gotten into the ego and just really focused and said, okay, you're not human, Denise, right now. Be your higher self and listen to the message. I know I would have gotten the message, because I remember for a second, I remember saying, like, you think it's the house? And he's like, I don't know. We were both clouded. And I'm like, oh, that's why sometimes readers need to go to other readers for personal issues,
But also with tragedies and stuff, the first thing we think of is like the people we love versus ourselves. So right, like off the bat, when you think something's going to happen, you're concerned if you're a parent, your children, your parents, whatever, and you kind of leave yourself as last because you're like, I'm okay.
Yeah,
but then, we kind of get ourselves out of there, and it is a big thing in our culture. Whenever we see the chusas or hear the chusas, that's a big sign and omen that something's coming up, and
the
that's
moth too.
Happen. Yeah.
And for me, it's when I hear screeching, something big is going to come. If I just hear them whoo whoo whoo, meaning that to be vigilant.
No, they're just whistling at you, Glenda.
Oh.
And I know, like,
Mamacita, come here.
The same thing happened with you when you heard the owl and you saw the moth, because at the time I remember your mom was she wasn't doing so well.
She was really ill, and how everything hit, it was really strange because just days before she had fallen and broken her collarbone.
Oh.
And at her age, you don't know, and it was scary. She was supposed to go in for surgery, and then the fire hit right at that time.
Yes.
And it was I couldn't leave because I had all that going on, and she had that happening. But we really did feel it was kind of an attack. There was definitely an attack that goes on, and here's an interesting thing that happened from it too. 99.9999% of everybody was awesome. They were positive. They were like, hey, you got this. You guys deserve. We're going to get everything taken care of. And then we had this small contingent of people that waited back and said, see what you do. God's punishing you. You're being punished for what you're doing. That's why he did this. He took everything away from you because you did this. So we said, no. We see God helping us, and rising us back up from the situation in everyone's faces that comes and helps us. That's where we see the universe, positivity, all those good things coming. But it's just amazing that there's still a contingent of people out there that want to say, you know, oh, what you do is terrible. We have a landlord right now who a new landlord who talk about more problems
from our location, not our house, not our home.
This is our
Shop
plaza.
location.
She bought the plaza, and she's a self-proclaimed I don't know, Catholic, whatever you want to say, and she told our employees, no, I don't like the tarot readings, I don't like the paranormal, I don't like that. So we have one of those little ring cams on our front door, our security system. And we actually caught her bringing a priest in the middle of the night to our location, spraying holy water on the front door.
Yes.
Said, Esta Padre, Esta
She goes,
Padre.
Esta. And then they started, and I'm like, okay, thanks for the blessing.
Not only that, it helps you because all the negative stays outside.
Exactly. And I was thinking, you know, if they would have just come to us, we said, well, we have holy water inside. If you guys need it, we can help you out.
Like, I don't think they realize it's a healing center. You know, I'm not doing anything. And you know, it's funny because it's true. The small group of people who would tell me like, well, you see, God's punishing you. That was always my reaction. No, God's actually the one lifting us up. The universe, God, the angels, the positivity out there, all of my guides, goddesses, they're lifting us up. Evil is what causes this. You should go and meet with your God because you have a wrong perception of what your God does. If your God does that, then it's not a good God. I mean, that evil's the one that allows bad things to happen.
Right.
You know, and then you see the grace of positivity and God, the universe, whatever your faith is, you see the grace of that creator help when you're down. So.
And I think that's where you learn true faith.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Trust that everything is worked out
for you as well.
Yeah.
When tragedies hit, who's really your friend? Who's really your ride or die? Who really cares about you? Who really has their best interest in you as well?
Find out really quickly.
Noted.
Yeah. It's true.
Light and love. The very condescending way, I'm gonna say.
It's very true. It's very true. But you know, I feel like we got through that. It made us stronger. We got through it together. We have a location now. We're still very, very big into spirit communication. We haven't done a paranormal investigation in a while, but you know, it's still part of what we do. We still love to do that.
Together, guys. Another one.
Yes. I want to do that ASAP. We got so many great locations down here.
Yep.
It's just, you know, rebuilding has been taking a little longer than we thought, but
that's taken a lot of time. But yeah, this is once again, you know, like the paranormal is a big thing, and he wrote a whole ass book about it.
And now, where can you find that book?
It's available anywhere. You can find it online. You can find it in our store, pretty much all over the place. I think it's still in bookstores. It came out in 2017, so I think it's still out there. And
if you follow any of our socials, like you know, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, people usually, because he's got boxes of them, so people will just.
So you can probably find that on your website.
Yes.
Yeah, and I prefer to sell them from my side because, of course, we make more money doing it that way. But also, I get to sign them too, which I like to do. My mom does.
Yeah.
And Mama Moon, my mom, is actually going to be next month. She's coming down here. She's going to be a guest reader in store, so that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Fair. I wanted to bring that up. Not only do you work with the beautiful D, but Mama starts a lot with Mama too. So do you want to put bases on that?
Yeah, I think all of our ability, D side and my side, it's been handed down through the generations.
Yes.
When I actually was able to break down my family tree, I found out that everybody had some sort of an ability. But the interesting thing is that the majority of the people who had it in my family back in different generations were female. And I guess I'm the first male to actually.
The hair. They got confused. Like that pretty hair.
It's the hair. Yeah, give that to them. Yeah. Maybe that's what.
I'm jealous of his hair, by the way. He has such gorgeous hair, and then I look at mine, and I'm like, what?
Beautiful hair.
Yeah, I don't know, but when it came down to it, I've always had this ability since I was a little kid, and that's what my mom's always been astounded by. She's like, it's usually the women in our family, but the mediumship aspect of what I do, it's different, I think, than some people I've talked to. It's just a little bit different because I'm able to not only use the ghost box and then do mediumship in general and see and hear and all that kind of stuff, but whenever I do a session, regardless, I really get a full spectrum of everything that's going on. Like I can see the spirits, I can hear, I can go back in memory, I can actually tap into people's memories and things like that, be able to relay those things. So it's a huge gift. I mean, when I was a little kid, I did not think it was a gift in any capacity. I thought it was a curse. I thought that the spirit world had it out for me, and that these spirits were coming to get me. But as I learned more about it, I realized I kind of have this light around me that they see, and they don't care how old you are, they don't care who you are. They are coming to you because they have to get a message through. They've got to communicate, and you're the color that they know they can communicate with.
Yeah, that light. It's kind of, they describe it in the movie The Shining, like those who have that ability, they shine to the spirit world, so they go to that beacon, and it's funny because I've watched Chris when he's doing his readings or mediumship, and I've seen other people too, because some people have the ability where they actually have to come into contact with the object, and they have to come into, and I've never seen them have to touch the person, touch their energy. He'll just tap into it. I've seen you do it with objects, but not with people. And sometimes when I'm reading a difficult person, somebody who's like kind of walled up and doesn't want you, I will ask to, that helps me. I will ask to like kind of touch their hand or kind of for them to allow me. But I've never seen Chris have to do that. And it's interesting to see different, people with their abilities, how they tap into energies differently.
Everybody has a different way of doing it. They all get different signs or communications from spirit or entities, to leave it that way, from the other side. I know what you're saying. It's really interesting because I talk to like other mediums. Like it's kind of like, oh, I can do this, but what can you do? Or like it's kind of like, oh,
true.
Yeah, we've all got different shades of the same sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, we do readings for people, or I do readings for people in like Australia and New Zealand, and that kind of thing. And when you talk to them and they say, well, how can we do a reading? I'd love to do it. And I say, oh, just do it over video. It's fine. And their first initial reaction is, there's no way. I'm all the way out here. You're all the way over there. And I say, that makes absolutely no difference to me whatsoever. All I need to do is see you and make the connection. And they're like, okay. And then by the time it's over with, they're usually pretty happy.
With me, all I need to do is hear someone's voice. I don't care how far, because I've done really far readings too. And like, I just want to hear your voice. You don't even have to look at the video. If we can, cool. But as long as we hear or something, well, from my end at least. But it's always so interesting how everyone can tap into their gifts and what kind of gifts they have. I've always been in awe with like, oh my gosh, really? You can do this? How? I don't know. It's really interesting.
It's all about the clairs, how different you perceive the clairs, and how well you have decided to develop them and let them rise above all the other noise.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like, oh, Chris, by the way, my sons also have the gift. I'm a generational thing, and it's always been women. And then with me, I'm like, no, I think I'm going to share it with everybody. And I did.
They must have nice hair too.
Wow.
Actually,
they do.
I think there is something to the hair in Native American culture and Native Mexican.
You see, I have two sons too, and they have
got the hair
as well. So it is a generational thing.
I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure about it because everybody has told me, they said, well, I do have a little bit of Native American blood, so on and so forth. But anyway, a little 10 bit. And everybody told me the reason you keep your hair so long is because that's your magic, your ability. That's what I said. Well, I just like my hair long. And so I did one of those things. I was at the Lizzie Borden house and I was doing an event out there. And I went to a barbershop and they convinced me to do the Locks for Love thing where they make the wigs for cancer survivors, patients. And I thought, well, what an amazing charity that would be, to donate to. And it turned out to be a scam. But I had them just take off a huge man. I just had my hair past my shoulders when it was all said and done. And everybody who was at the event wanted to kill me because I cut my hair. But my abilities really did take a hit. I got to be honest with you. I was having a tougher time tuning in. I had to really work to make connections. So I think there's something to the hair thing.
The hair, yeah, because
in other cultures they feel like this is your antenna.
yeah. That's what I was gonna say. In some Mexican, in some native Mexican cultures, religions, they believe that the hair has to be. That's why they do the trenzas, because you're braiding, you're tying, enlazando. They say, I don't know how you say that in English, but enlazando all of your emotions, all of your feelings, all of your abilities are staying in the braid. And so
protection too, like when someone's trying to do like whatever it is, brujeria, santeria, whatever, if you braid your hair, that's also for protections. Like it gets, in a sense, the witchcraft gets stuck, or the bad vibes or energy in your trenzas to protect you.
Yeah, te lo enlaces. They say, enlázalo en la trenza, enlázalo en la trenza, which in English, I'm trying to translate. I'm sorry. My brain thinks in Spanish.
Lasso it.
Tie it into the braid. I guess you can say it that way.
Yeah, enlázalo en la trenza, like this.
Lasso
Trap it in the braid. When you wash your hair, that's symbolic too.
Yes, to wash out all the negativity and stuff.
Yeah.
So my grandma always taught us that as well, about the braids. And that's why, all of us, myself, my sisters, all through elementary, my mom made sure I never wore my hair down, because that's another thing. If you wear your hair down, it's believed in Mexican culture that if you have your hair loose, something could attach to you. So my mom always made sure, she was very traditional and also very spiritual. She made sure that we always had 2 braids, always, and it wasn't a cutesy thing. It was because that's for protection. And when we'd come home, I nos lavaba el pelo. My mom would wash her hair. And that's what we did. It was always the braiding. And with me, it was also generational things passed down, traditions, cultural beliefs and things that I grew up a lot. My grandmother was from Matamoros, Mexico. And we would spend weeks over there, days over there. We'd go over there on the weekends. And I spent a lot of time. And I thought at the time, I was like, well, I was little. I didn't know what it was. And I spent a lot of time watching people from the neighborhood, from her vecindad, right, come over, visit her. And some of them, the way you say it in Spanish is los curaba del susto, right? So what that is, it's like you heal them from trauma, basically, from something traumatic that happened. So they'd come to her and she would curarlos. So I guess it would be like a curandera, and so she would do that, and I would watch it, and she would have the flames going and the smoke and the different leaves and the rattles, and Moongirl knows what I'm talking about.
I'm Cuban. I know what you're talking. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
The palmas, everything, and she,
and Chris is an honorary Mexican too, because he's been so many.
and a lot of people don't realize that the musical instrument, the maraca, that's what it was first traditionally used for.
Yeah, to cast out bad energies and stuff like that.
So I as a shaman use that when I do a shamanic
the maraca, session. Right? The shaker, and so my grandma had that, and she would use that on people, and then they'd leave and they'd be fine. Not only would she do like she would do limpias on them, she would curarlos del susto, which was, cure them from trauma. She would do limpias, cleanse them. She would help them with work to release work, and then sometimes I'd see them crying. So then I'd see that when I was little, and then I got more interested, and then she would do it on me sometimes too. Like because in our
infamous huevo.
The huevo, yes, the egg cleansing. I would go over and be like, I will eat that thing.
The huevo.
Yeah, if I had gone to like the mercado with my mom there, in Mexico, and I'd go and I'd come back, and all of a sudden from coming back from an outing, I'd be like, ay, abuelita, ay, my stomach, I'd be telling her Spanish, ay, and she'd go over to her kitchen, grab the huevo, she'd grab that egg and ven para acá, and she'd start doing all the things. Yeah, and that's the evil eye, and they're removing it because the egg is absorbing that. And now evil eye, it is very, very, it's very real. If somebody has bad intentions towards you, they don't even have to, they can just look at a picture of you. If they have bad intentions and if they have abilities, they look at that picture and their intentions are everything. So
you don't have to physically do brujeria on someone. Just the intention and the thought of the nasty, the jealousy or whatever, it will give you the evil eye,
That's big down here.
It's big down here.
It's huge out here.
Yeah, when people tell me, Moongirl, people like when we're somewhere and people see his hair, they're like, "Ay, qué bonito el pelo." I always tell them, "Touch it, touch it."
Touch it porque le vas a dar ojo.
Yeah, because what we believe, if you don't touch something you're admiring, even if you don't want anything bad to happen, that's the like the coveting something.
Mhm.
When you leave, it might break or crack or something might happen to that person, right? So that's the evil eye of jealousy or the evil eye of coveting or the evil eye of adoration even.
Yes.
So you have to touch it. You have to,
In our culture, it's really like it's the norm for us to like even if it's not our kids or something, and we're randomly walking and you see this really pretty little girl or boy, not in a weird way, and you're like, what nice hair, let me touch it so I won't give it ojo,
Yes.
Something like like that. But or even with Chris, if somebody comes up to you, let me just touch his hair so I won't give it ojo and put that.
Or I'll tell them, touch his hair, please. Touch his hair.
Well, and I gotta tell you, in the beginning, she hadn't told me that. And we would be like in grocery stores and things where I'd be off on my own. And all of a sudden I'd have random people coming up and grabbing my hair. And I was like, is this normal? Am I like, is this part of the culture or is this just weird?
Like they think you're Jesus. No.
He's a white Jesus.
Yeah. So, it goes back to that. I've been around that healing work since I was little. It was passed down to me. Then I started realizing, oh my gosh, I have abilities. My grandma would do the cartas too, the cards, and I started doing it, and it's something that stuck with us. So that's one thing we have in common is that it's something that we both realized we had at a very, very young age. And then I grew up in a very haunted home. So did you. So that's where I never lost my interest or my desire to research and feel and experience the paranormal because I grew up with it. The house was terribly haunted. I mean, terribly, to the point where I suffered a spiritual attack myself. At 12 years old, they had to do an exorcism on me.
Oh my God.
It was bad. I survived that. I remember feeling like I was not going to survive that. And I did. And I don't recall, because I passed out, and I don't recall what happened throughout. My mother was there. My sister was there. Everyone that was helping was there. And it wasn't a Catholic exorcism. It was like a non-denominational Christian church that my mom would go to. All I know from that is that my mom and sister and people that were there that saw it, they helped with that. It took a long, long time it was hours. They said that I was saying some bizarre, weird stuff and weird names were coming up. And I know one of them, and I won't repeat it, right? But I do know one because every so often in my subconscious mind or in my sleep, I hear it and I hear that voice and it wakes me up and I'm like, nope, not going to happen. Go. No, not going to happen. Because one thing once they've touched it, once they've been there, they will always want a way back in. So now that I have a better grasp of all the protection tools that I can have, and the way to put up that boundary and the way I was a child back then, so I didn't have that knowledge. Now I know that I'm okay. So.
And Chris, also that you had some really crazy experiences like D as a kid in haunted houses. You want to tell us a little bit too?
Oh, I can go on forever. Honestly, I that's the thing that really scared me in the beginning, because the first nights, well, I'll start one that I didn't realize until later was a paranormal experience. I was 4 years old, extremely sick one night. So it was bathroom bed, and I had a bunk bed at the time. And my mom, Angel, was, like helping me, taking me back to the bed, helping me get back up the ladder, the whole thing as that goes. Well, I remember the last time I got up, I was so sick, I went to the bathroom and I was laying there and I couldn't really move. And I remember what I thought was my mom coming in and lifting me up like I didn't weigh anything and carrying me, and I felt very comfortable carrying me and actually lifting me and putting me up in the bed and then kind of rubbing my hair until I went to sleep. And so in the morning, I walked down the hall and I felt better. And I said, hi, Mom, hi, Dad. And I sat down and started eating food and everything. And they're like, oh, you look like you feel better. I said, yeah. And I told my mom something like, wow, I can't believe how strong you are. You were able to lift me back up into the bed And she looked at me, she goes, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Yeah, remember when you lifted me back up?" And she started asking me questions. And I realized once she started describing what's going on, that was actually my great-grandmother who had gone to take care of me and put me back up in the bed. So that's the first paranormal experience that I had. But I was very comfortable with that. Even when I learned, I was like, "Oh, okay, that's my great-grandma coming to help me."
I would have been like, "What?"
It just made sense in some weird level. And then when we moved into a house in Denver, Colorado, this is a long time ago, we moved into this house, and I remember we walked in, it just felt weird. I couldn't describe it. And I didn't know anything about ghosts. Other than Scooby Doo or whatever the case might be. And I honestly. And so I remember that first night we were laying there, or I was laying there in bed, and we didn't have air conditioning in the house. We just had all the windows open, and there was a bar really far back across this field, and I could hear people like talking in glasses and stuff like that. And I just opened my eyes to see what was in the room. You know how you do as a little kid. And when I opened my eyes, there was the three-dimensional shadow of a little boy just standing at the end of my bed, just staring at me. And he never moved. He never said a word. And of course, I panicked. But in the morning, I went to my father, the skeptic, and I said, "Dad, there's a ghost in my room." And he said, "The only ghost is the Holy Ghost." And that's what started me on my journey right there. I was like, I got to prove to this guy this thing is real. In that house, we had doors that would open and close constantly on their own. We had just insane amounts of weird things. We had a piano, a baby grand piano that would play itself in the middle of the night. And even my father would hear that, but he would insist it was somebody's radio somewhere or something like that. But it was so weird that the animals would lift their heads, but they couldn't move. They were just kind of trapped there when it would happen. And then an interesting thing that goes along with that too, I want to bring this up because this is crazy. There's a whole thing with Ghost Adventures. I don't.
Oh yeah, I know what you're gonna say. This is crazy. Okay. I always knew about this story before we watched this, but tell them what happened to you.
So I don't have the best relationship with them or whatever the case might be, but that's okay. Whatever, it doesn't matter. So this was the weirdest thing. When I was little, and this happened, it absolutely happened. In the middle, I used to wake up all the time because of the paranormal things that were happening inside of our house. And again, my father was no help, and he wouldn't let my mother help. He's like, let him deal with it. It's his own problem. He's got to figure it out, one of those kind of things. So I would get thirsty in the middle of the night, and we had to, our bedrooms were upstairs, and we'd have to go down these stairs, which had like an open railing going down to get to the kitchen, to turn on the light, to get the water, that kind of thing. So I would dread going down these stairs because it would happen every single time. When I'd wake up and I was extremely thirsty, I already knew what the drill was going to be. So I would get out of my bed very reluctantly, and I'd kind of creep down the stairs, and I'd walk very slowly, and I'd get as close to the wall as I possibly could as I walked down. But each and every time, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there would be this hand that would come and grab my leg and pull me, jerk me back through the bars of the stairs. And it was a green hand, looked like a decaying green hand, and with these long fingernails, these long, gross fingernails. And the thing would tickle me, would like literally tickle me, but not in a fun, haha way. It was painful because I was extremely ticklish, and I would cry and scream, but nobody ever came, nobody ever helped me. And I would always, after the attack, I would always be laying there almost traumatized, sometimes cut up, sometimes my clothes would be torn, and I would run back up, of course, and then put the covers back over my head. Well, I went back and reported to everybody that this was happening, and I called it the Tickle Witch because the face of this thing was just so hideous. It looked like the evil witch from The Wizard of Oz, but more disgusting. So, long story short.
Sounds crazy, I know, but
and I swear to people throughout my life, and they told me I was nuts. So the weirdest thing, she showed me an episode of Ghost Adventures at the very end, and Zach Baggins actually had the exact same experience that I had. And I never put that up publicly. I never put it on broadcast. I never said anything, just to my friends and family. And it was the exact same account that he would run into every single time.
And it freaked me out because years before that, it was a new episode came out. He had told me that story, and I was like, man, that's insane. And I always wanted to know more. I'd be like, nobody would come down. I said, was your clothes still ripped, in the morning? You said a couple of times no, which was freaky. He felt like he's like this witch was gaslighting him, like, oh, your clothes is torn. And then all of a sudden now it's not, So So then
The
I was
passive
watching
aggressive is on the other side.
yeah, so then I was watching an episode of Ghost Adventures, and it had to do with an entity that was like that looked real creepy like that. That was happening to somebody in the location they were investigating. And I don't remember the name of the episode, but the ending stuck with me because then at the end, Zach was looking into the camera and he was talking. He's like, this investigation was very important to me because when I was a kid, and he went and he described the same thing. What happened?
He called it the
He
tickle
said,
witch.
I didn't know what to call it. I called it like the tickle witch. She would tickle me. And I was like, what? And then I went back and said, you got to see this. I called him. I rewound it. He said, well, so what's happening to the people in the house? And I told him, well, kind of like your situation. So that was enough to be like, oh, wow, the same entity not only bothered me, and I said, but listen to what he says at the end. So then I played the end. And he talks about that, about the fingers and the thing that come out and would grab him and tickle him or grab his leg or something different. And he's looking at, he looks at me, he's like, oh my God. I'm like, what if there's something to this? What if this is a real, like the Hat Man, what if this tickle witch is something that just goes out there and,
I love the name, the Tickle Witch. I need to go to
I can 100% attest that it is 100% real.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, it's insane. I didn't have encounters with a tickle witch. My encounters were with this like weird shadow man. That's before I had my incident where I would hear the steps coming down. My sister encountered this with me too. We shared a bed and we'd be like talking. Then all of a sudden we would hear like down the hall, like just a big boom. And we knew it was coming. So we would grab hands under the covers like this, and we were just waiting, and we would hear the heavy steps coming down the hall, boom, 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 boom. It would stop at our door, and we knew, like, okay, it's just going to come through the door. Like, without the door opening, you would hear or feel a, whoosh. This thing was invisible. It was just a shadow mass. And then you'd hear the steps, boom, 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 stop right in front of us. And what this thing would do, because we would feel it, and we'd both be like, oh, like tears, terrifying tears coming down our face. We'd be grabbing each other, and then you would feel this thing just go and just kind of lean over us. And you felt it staring at us, like, oh God, go away, go away, go away, go away. Like we'd be doing that. And then right when we would start to feel its grip let go, that's when we would both yell, Mom! My mom would come running from her room, and then sometimes she couldn't get in. We would never lock the door, but the door would always be locked. So that house was crazy. Like the stories that happened to us in childhood could definitely be something that somebody could put on TV. Because this was crazy. And like with you too, like the stories I've heard that, your parents say, oh yeah, one time this happened to him, or he froze here. I'm like, wow, that's like stuff you see in a movie. And like these things, and the good thing is that my sister experienced that with me, and we both felt it, heard it. We were. It's
interesting you said. See, and that's what I didn't have. I was an only child, or I am an only child, and I never had anybody to go to. I was always alone. I was on an island. It was just me and my animals. That was it. And they'd react to everything that was going on. They saw, they experienced, but who are they going to tell? So
I'm kind of similar with Chris on that one because, and well, both of you with the seeing things since you were a kid and being alone, but I didn't have anybody. And also the family being, since we're here in the Valley, the family grew up being Catholic. I'm not Catholic, I'm spiritual, but they grew up Catholic. So they would just push me in the room and be like, no, just stay in there. So I would be in Spanish and not so nice words. You know what I'm talking about, Deep. So they would throw me in there and I'd be so scared. Like sometimes I'd just be crying because I knew it was coming and there was nothing I could do. And it was the whole house. I would walk
crazy, yeah.
And I would see things, I'd feel things, and the sleep paralysis was so terrifying.
I had that too.
Terrifying. And then having the family kind of gaslight you, like, no, it didn't happen, until they freaking finally, when I was in school, they went to my room to put stuff away, and my grandma and my mom saw this demonic shadow lunge at them. Wow. They dropped all the clothes. They ran away. My grandma being Hispanic, she always has like holy water, little ball in her chichi purse, and she just started, casting it away.
Can I say something? Do you notice how these things will always attack, or the majority of the times they attack those who have a gift? Like you, Moongirl, me, because they could have. My sister experienced it with me, but she always no, I don't believe it. She'll deny those experiences, and then when we're alone, I'm like, what happened? I don't want to sound crazy, she says.
I'll make a point to that though too. I think there's a reason for that. I think that there is, when you're very young and they see you have the ability, immediately they try to turn you. They try to either get you to stop doing light work, or they get you to work for them, and that's what they do.
That's why they attack the people with abilities.
With abilities, and I think that they really feed on the people that have no one. That please help me, help me, help me. There's nobody to help. You know, my father used to look me in the face and say, "You're crazy. You're out. We need to look for a doctor. There's something wrong with you." And I mean, I think that intensifies their energy and intensifies their efforts.
Right,
Yeah,
because the fear that you create or they create upon you increases that negativity, so they feed off. It's like a vampire,
Yes.
you know, an
Absolutely.
energy vampire in a way.
Absolutely, it is.
And I was very blessed that although when I started seeing everything, I already had my protection around me. I already had what I call my team. I started to see everything before the age of 2. I started interacting with all of them, but I guess because I was so young, they were like, we're gonna make sure that it doesn't happen fearfully for her. So
That's beautiful.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Like, I wish that would have happened
I
to
know.
me.
we all
Oh
have
my
stuff,
God.
but you know, I go into places and now they call me when people stir up stuff in their, you know, especially some paranormal teams that like to go in there and instigate. That's when I and Larry get called, my other half get called into it so we could come down. So maybe that's the reason they wanted to make sure I still did that job, because it was important in the future to
Right.
be able to just walk in there and say, guys, I'm not here to hurt anybody. Let's come up with some agreement.
No,
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys got this too, but when I was younger, we would move around. I started thinking like, you know, because I was really young, I had no one to talk to. I tried, but you know, of course, they wouldn't listen. But I used to think like, damn, my luck. Every place we move, it's haunted. Jesus.
Yes.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
They follow you. It could sometimes it's not the location that's haunted, it's the person. If you have abilities, they follow you.
Well, when I was 16, I finally moved into a new house about 5 miles from that location. I thought, oh, finally, because that was a Arapaho Indian burial ground where we were living at the time. So I thought, oh, it's got to be that. We were right on the mound. That's all there is to it. But when we moved into the new house, I actually had more paranormal experiences there than I had in the house prior. And yes, that location had some things going on, but I know I was the beacon that drew it all in.
Yeah, it's one funny point, because earlier you mentioned Scooby-Doo. I know nothing has to do, but you know how I said like they always attack those with abilities. Another thing I've noticed, just I observe people that have had like paranormal experiences or that have abilities. I ask, what was your favorite cartoon growing up? Everyone says Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
That was my favorite. That
Because
was
it was like watching a
too.
documentary. Yeah.
yes, you were watching Paranormal Investigation.
And my favorites when they used to have like characters, like they had the Addams Family, of course, Elvira. So I was, even back then, I was like, what?
Yeah, so that's just an interesting observation I've made. So we're all haunted since we were young, and we all love Scooby-Doo.
There you go.
This is a really fun interview. Thank you guys so much for being with us.
Now, is there anything that you want to bring up and you know,
events?
Events or anything that
We're going to be in San Antonio. We are going to be speakers at an event. I believe it's May 20th. Is that right?
It's let me get the exact date. It's going to be at the Victoria's Black Swan Inn. It's in May.
What's that place?
Huh?
I love that place.
It's amazing.
I love that place too. And we're going to be speaking at their it's the Spring Paranormal and Psychic Fest, right?
Yeah, it's by Curious Twins Paranormals who puts it on. They're amazing.
And they're the ones that put it on. Hold on, I'm looking for the date, the exact date. I know they have it here. Here it is. So that is going to be in San Antonio at the Victoria's Black Swan Inn, and it's going to be May 20th at 4 p.m.
And it's called the Psychic and Spirit Fest.
Psychic and Spirit Fest.
And so this will be, I think, is it third year?
Yeah, third or fourth year.
We always do their paranormal. We do the psychic one.
We always do the fall and the spring.
They always invite us. They're awesome. They're really great. And then, like I said, Mama Moon's going to be here right before that, and then she's going to be joining us for that event as well. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then our college speaking tour is coming up. That's going to be this fall, and that's going to be all over the country.
We're hoping to book other events. Sarah, Moongirl, if you know of any that you want us to come along to, we'll go.
Yes.
Good. Good. Well, we thank you. It was great speaking to you and getting to meet you, even if it is sort of face to face.
Yeah.
It is. I had so much fun. This was a great, I had a great time.
Same here. Same here. Yeah.
And we didn't even get to touch on like the Frank's box. We have to have him back on again
I
sometime.
know. Yeah, we didn't get to touch on that story, the Frank's box.
Yeah, we'll do it next time.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, definitely. We'd love to have you back. And of course, at any time you get anything that you want to come back, come and see us.
Will do.
Awesome. Just
All
make
right.
sure everyone follows our
Yes.
Magic Moon Metaphysical on TikTok and
Yeah.
come visit our store in Brownsville, Texas.
There you go. There you go. You heard it, guys. You know, you met the great people. Now let's go support. All right. Thank you. Love
Thank
you
you.
all and blessings. Thank you.
Bye.